For our latest interview, our conversation for the VICTA student portal, I'm with Warren Wilson, who is a VICTA alumni now, but's been on many activities with us and supported VICTA events for many, many years. Warren, perhaps you could give a little bit of an introduction to yourself and a little bit about your vision impairment as well.
Yeah, sure. More than happy to do that. Thanks very much for having me on one of these recordings. So yeah, I'm Warren, as was just introduced, and a little bit about myself. So yeah, I'm based in Cambridgeshire. I work in the charity sector, and a little bit about my visual impairment. So I lost much of my sight when I was 19. I was fully sighted before then, and it was due to a rare hereditary condition called Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. So a little bit of a mouthful. I think it would be a Scrabble winner, that one. But yeah, it's often abbreviated to LHON.
And that happened at the age of 19. What were you doing at that time of your life? Where were you? What were you doing?
Yeah, so I was coming to the end of my A-level exams, actually. I had recently learnt to drive, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do after my A-levels. Yeah, and it was a bit of a strange time, regardless of losing sight, really. I think a few times I remember, yeah, a few times I remember sort of first noticing my sight loss was, say, when I was driving. I remember once driving up to a roundabout near where I lived. I went to pull out, and my friend who was next to me in the car went, "Whoa, stop!" And I was like, "Why? And did you not see that bike?" And I was like, "What bike?" And a few other times I remember cycling to my local sixth form college, and you know, just almost running over this poor lady's dog, and didn't see it, just swerve out the way last minute. Like, there's a little bit of people getting angry. I cycle off a bit embarrassed, and cycle back and be like, "I'm really sorry, I think I'm losing my sight." She probably thought, "What on earth are you on about?" But because I don't know, you wouldn't be able to tell. But yeah, I remember that was the sort of situation. And I remember with my A-level exams starting off, just using a magnifying glass and classes and things like that. And as I progressed through the revision sessions to the point where I was writing my last A-level exam, the papers got bigger, and in the end, I think my last A-level, I had my face on the table, looking, straining to see this A3 size stuff, and you know, doing the exams in a room by myself. I think I wrote about 12 pages, so I can't guarantee it was all in the lines, but the sixth form college was really supportive at that time, and you know, I got special considerations from the exam board and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know, maybe those special considerations gave me better grades than I need, but I was meant gonna get anyway. But yeah, in a weird kind of way, I had very few responsibilities at that time, especially once I'd finished my A-level exams. So you know, I didn't know that we had this genetic condition in my family. It was something none of us knew about, and you know, if I could choose a time for it to happen, no, it's never a perfect time. You don't want it to happen, but you know, I had very few responsibilities, especially by the time I finished full-time education. I had no bills to pay, no, you know, kids of my own, anything like that. So what I had after that point, when I finished my A-levels, was, you know, let's just adjust to my new level of sight. Another convenient thing was my sixth form college is right next to the local hospital, so I'd have lots of strange moments where I'd start one revision session, say in the morning, then I'd have like a big break in the day and have another one later in the day. During that break, I'd end up popping across to the hospital where I'd have like CT scans, these kind of these things where I had like electrodes on my head and I was staring at some sort of TV screen and all this sort of stuff. So I'd have all these crazy medical procedures happen, and then I'd go back to college. And I remember once walking into a revision session, and I was a little bit late, at 10-15 minutes, and I tried not to disturb things, but the teacher's like, "Oh, why are you so late?" sort of thing. And I was like, "Oh, sorry, I was just having a CT scan across the hospital." And she was like, "Oh, fair enough, like get on with your work, and you know, you can settle into the class. You know, it's a fair enough excuse, isn't it? Like it's not like, oh, I've just gone for a burger, miss."
Yeah, you can't really argue that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, as I say, very strange time. But
It
yeah,
sounds
immediately
like you
after
took it
that. Oh,
very.
sorry, go on.
it sounds like, not saying you took it well, but certainly you took it in your stride to a certain extent. The way you described it there was where you just said, I just had to adjust to my vision impairment. That's at the age of 19. It's very different to say someone who's never had any sight. You lost it at 19, so it's quite a big adjustment to make. But it sounds like you obviously internalized it and thought, well, actually, I need to adapt now.
Yeah, so immediately after my last A-level exam, I spent 2 weeks in hospital. That's when I guess the intensity of the medical procedures ramped up, and I had all sorts of things done to me to try and diagnose me. So a number of blood tests, MRI scans, etc., etc. And it was during those 2 weeks that I was told that my sight might not come back. I might lose it all. It might continue to deteriorate gradually. And I still remember it really clearly now, like being in the hospital ward. The medical professionals come in, wrap the curtains around, all this sort of thing. And yeah, when you're just told that, it does hit you. And yeah, and that evening I had the visiting hours, saw my family, and that was really tough actually, that moment. But yeah, I think having that time in the hospital, to myself, it just gave me time to really I guess assess the situation, assess things a bit more. And I guess that it was that same evening that I realized, there's still a lot to life that you can enjoy without being able to see. I didn't know how I was going to do a lot of things, but just speaking to friends and family and all that sort of stuff, and enjoying it. It comes down to quite corny stuff ultimately, just enjoying a nice day, all that sort of stuff. And you just think, well, yeah, there's stuff still to enjoy out there. I didn't know about a lot of the stuff that was out there and how you adapt to it and all those sorts of things at that point in time. But I guess having that adjusting in that way at that time was really fortuitous. I guess it was, and I wasn't particularly a very positive or upbeat person either. I was quite a sort of shy, introvert sort of teenager. I'd spend most of my time playing video games, wouldn't really socialize with anyone, that sort of stuff. And I don't know. I look back and I think, well, how did I react in that way? You just don't know how you're going to react when something like that happens. And it might take you by surprise. You don't know. But yeah, I think I was also very fortunate, I guess, looking a few months forward from that point, that there was a really supportive local society where I lived. There was an ECLO in the hospital, eye clinic liaison officer, who was able to support me with navigating all the forms and God knows what that you have to go through for all the benefits and entitlements you're entitled to and all that sort of stuff. So I was quite fortunate in that sense. And whilst there was a waiting list for mobility training for canes and all that sort of stuff, it did come. So I'd had a few months to wait, which were pretty frustrating, but it did come, and I got the cane training eventually and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I guess that postcode, in terms of that postcode lottery, I was, relatively fortunate. I know some people aren't so lucky. So yeah, it's, that all that stuff helps.